this is Scott Mowry of the Miracles Intel conference call. Our next call begins at 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. East Coast time. The pre-call opens at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time, 9:30 p.m. East Coast time. Thank you.
And then the president may aboard Air Force One on the 29th, possibly. Now, again, when we go to the Hope Hicks tweet, it was an 88, which refers to Q Drop 88, 10 Days of Darkness, scare tactics, mainstream media, Democrats falling, Republicans walk away removed. That 88, HH, is an 88, refers to Q Drop 88, all the way back on November 5th, 2017. And then, if we decode the president's message tonight, the First Lady and I tested positive for COVID-19. We'll begin our quarantine recovery process immediately. We'll get through this together. Well, that's decoded as begin immediately the process of arresting Hillary Clinton to get her. All right? So that's part of the decode of what's going on sort of under the radar. Now, let's go to Melania Trump's tweet that same night. As too many Americans have done this year, President and I are quarantining at home after testing positive for COVID-19. We're feeling good, and I have postponed all upcoming engagements. Please be sure you are staying safe. And again, she says, we will get through this together. President Trump, First Lady, tests positive for coronavirus, set to quarantine at White House. That's on the 2nd of October. Breaking, President Trump announces he and First Lady Melania have tested positive for coronavirus. Update, Melania says, we are feeling good. Let's go to Friday, the 2nd. Melania Trump at 8:07 a.m. says, thank you for the love you're sending our way. I have mild symptoms, but overall feeling good. I am looking forward to a speedy recovery. And wow, was she right about that. Then Maria Bartiromo on Fox interviews Dr. Amish Adalish on Fox Business News, and he talks about the quarantine as 10 days of darkness. Then later in the day, breaking, President Trump is being taken to Walter Reed National Medical Center, and President Trump will walk to Marine One. So the doctors advise President Trump to go to Marine One, to take Marine One to Walter Reed Medical Center. And reports are that President Trump has fever, chills, congestion, and cough. And then Marine One lands at White House to take President Trump to Walter Reed. President in good spirits and has been working throughout the day. I'm doing very well. President Trump releases message for public before heading to Walter Reed. And as he boards Marine One, President Trump tapped on the railing twice. If you watch the video, you can see him, which was a signal, I'm going to be all right. White House reporters named Mark Meadows, an anonymous source who contradicted the doctor's rosy report on Trump. And Trump said to be improving, but next 48 hours critical. Then we find out that Kellyanne Conway, and now she had tested positive on the 2nd. And so that was the fourth person. And while he's at the hospital, President Trump has Mark Meadows hand out chocolates to supporters outside Walter Reed. Let's go to Saturday, October 3rd. President and top Republicans, but no Democrats, contract COVID. Now, that was from the debate at the Cleveland debate for the first debate. Now, Cleveland announces an outbreak connected to the presidential debate. Anti-Trump hack reporter Chris Wallace pushes a rumor that President Trump is very ill and his doctors can't be trusted. Now, here is where we start to see things, the sort of operation ongoing. Confusion mounts as White House doctors offer contradicting details of Trump's condition. White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows confirms Trump's condition deteriorated on Friday. White House doctors extremely happy with progress President Trump has made since being diagnosed with COVID. fever-free for over 24 hours. Then we learn another person in the inner circle of President Trump, none other than Chris Christie, former governor of New Jersey, is in the hospital after being diagnosed with COVID-19. Chris Christie checks in the hospital after a positive COVID diagnosis, Fox News reported. Now, also that same day, this is on Saturday the 3rd, it was reported that President Trump's campaign manager and more people in the inner circle test positive for coronavirus. Bill Stepien, President Trump's campaign manager, tests positive for coronavirus. And Donald Trump's campaign manager, the latest to test positive for COVID-19, infected protests doing very well under new treatment. So then we learn from Bloomberg News, here are the Trump associates who tested positive for COVID-19. And this was eventually released on the 3rd, and then it was updated on the 6th. So the Donald Trump President, Melania Trump First Lady, Hope Hicks, as senior advisor, Bill Stepien, Trump campaign manager, Chris Christie, former New Jersey Governor, Kellyanne Conway, former White House senior advisor, Ronna McDaniel, Republican National Committee chairwoman, Mike Lee, Republican senator from Utah, Tom Tillis, Republican senator from North Carolina, Nick Luma, President Trump's personal attendant, Kayleigh McEnany, the press secretary, Chad Gilmartin, White House press office, Caroline Leavitt, White House press office, Jaylene Drummond, assistant press secretary, Charles Ray, vice commandant of commandant of the U.S. Coast Guard, and Jana McCarran, Coast Guard aide to the president. Now let's go to Sunday, October the 4th. Now I thank Chris for sending this to me. Very interesting development, folks. This was put out on Twitter by Feisty Cat. And Feisty Cat writes, someone is ready for war. Something's up. William Barr, who tested negative 4 times, has now decided to self-quarantine. Mike Pompeo cut his Asia trip short. And then this from Chuck Grassley today. Now, this is a retweet from Alex Salvi. The White House releases new photos of President Trump working from Walter Reed, saying he's on a phone call with other members of administration, implying something is up. And Chuck Grassley had then been retweeted, tuned, and this is what Chuck Grassley wrote on the 4th, Sunday the 4th, at about 5:29 p.m. Tuned to History Channel to see if there was any history. There was not any history. Instead, the Pickers, she insisted we watch. Big mistake on my part. Now, the Pickers is a show on the History Channel. And it's called American Pickers. And this episode was season 18, episode 11. Listen to this. It was called Ripe for the Picking. That's a little subtle clue that the criminals are now ripe for picking. In other words, prosecution. Now, also, it was reported by CNN on the 3rd. Twitter bans posts wishing for Trump death. Meanwhile, the squad wonders where the policy was for them. Okay, so people were just on Twitter just saying the nastiest things about the president. Let's go to Monday, and this is the October the 5th. And it was officially reported that White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany tests positive for COVID-19. And also, at the White House press room, 3 White House liberal media hacks also tested positive for the coronavirus along with Kayleigh McEnany, including a reporter from the New York Times. Then there was a big announcement that came from Walter Reed Medical Center. And a reporter is caught on a hot mic laughing and saying, that wasn't as fun as yesterday after Walter Reed docs announced President Trump is improving. Then suddenly we heard that President Trump is going to be discharged from Walter Reed Hospital and is going to be returning to the White House. This is after spending Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at Walter Reed Medical Center. Feeling really good. President Trump leaving Walter Reed today at 6:30 p.m. He said, don't be afraid of COVID. Don't let it dominate your life. White House physician says President Trump reports no COVID-19 symptoms. President Trump beats COVID-19 and leaves Walter Reed Medical Center. A reporter, one of the White House reporters, actually screamed out this question to the president: "Are you a super spreader?" What a clown, White House reporter. So President Trump put out this tweeted on October 5th, 2020 at 11:37 a.m. in the morning. I will be leaving the great Walter Reed Medical Center at 6:30 p.m. Feeling really good. Don't be afraid of COVID. Don't let it dominate your life. We have developed under the Trump administration some really great drugs and knowledge. I feel better than I did 20 years ago. Now that's an interesting statement. What does that mean? What kind of treatment did the president get? What kind of maybe advanced medical technologies were given to the president? Again, did he even have the coronavirus? Or was this an excuse for him to go into a state of hiding or quarantine for a while? Alex Berenson on Tucker Carlson that night, former New York Times correspondent, praises President Trump's "don't be afraid of the COVID-19" tweet. Now, here's what you need to know, folks. President Trump walked out. Remember, he said he was going to leave Walter Reed Medical Center at 6:30 p.m. He actually left at 6:38 p.m. exactly. Take the timestamp, 6:38 added up. 6 plus 3 plus 8 equals 17. Yes, 17 equals Q. So when President Trump arrived back at the White House, he appeared on the balcony, and as if to show he's in perfectly good health, letting the people know that he was in good spirits and looking really good. And then what happened is that President Trump put out a video message. And I'd like to play you this message that President Trump put out on the night of the 5th as he returned to the White House.
So let me disagree a little bit with Chairman Grant.
I apologize. Wrong one. Here we go.
I just left Walter Reed Medical Center, and it's really something very special. The doctors, the nurses, the first responders, and I learned so much about coronavirus. And one thing that's for certain, don't let it dominate you. Don't be afraid of it. You're going to beat it. We have the best medical equipment. We have the best medicines, all developed recently. And you're going to beat it. I didn't feel so good. And 2 days ago, I could have left 2 days ago. 2 days ago, I felt great, like better than I have in a long time. I said just recently, better than 20 years ago. Don't let it dominate. Don't let it take over your lives. Don't let that happen. We have the greatest country in the world. We're going back. We're going back to work. We're going to be out front. As your leader, I had to do that. I knew there's danger to it, but I had to do it. I stood out front. I led. Nobody that's a leader would not do what I did. And I know there's a risk, there's a danger, but that's okay. And now I'm better, and maybe I'm immune. I don't know. But don't let it dominate your lives. Get out there. Be careful. We have the best medicines in the world, and they're all happened very shortly, and they're all getting approved. and the vaccines are coming momentarily. Thank you very much. And Walter Reed, what a group of people. Thank you very much.
Okay, so that was President Donald Trump speaking from the White House balcony. And there was this video that was released almost instantaneously as he returned from his stay at the Walter Reed and was returning back to the White House. And it was quite a message, wasn't it? Don't be afraid. Very positive. Now, realize what's going on. The President Trump, whether he not had the coronavirus, I don't really think he ever did. But it's an important symbolic message that President Trump appeared healthy, says he feels better than ever, and that there's no fear of the coronavirus. In other words, you are able to freely now go out and vote. There's no worries about voting in this election. There's no worries about going out and living your lives. Very important message to the American people that he delivered. He said, you heard him talk about his leadership. Now, liberals outraged after President Trump makes a surprise visit as he's leaving. Remember, he went out on a visit to his supporters at Walter Reed Hospital, and also they went crazy after he walked out of Walter Reed Hospital and went back to the White House. CNN's Jim Acosta mocks President Trump as the coronavirus in chief, the emperor, patient zero. Meanwhile, CNN medical analyst and Walter Reed attending physician Dr. James Phillips blasts President Trump for a trip outside to thank his supporters, jumping all over. And listen to this. Just today, Jane Fonda, the actress, used to be married to Ted Turner, says the coronavirus, it's God's gift to the left because it could help Biden defeat Trump. Biden fundraiser Jane Fonda says COVID-19 is God's gift to the left. It's just amazing, the despicable and disgraceful words coming out of these celebrities and politicians. Let's go to the developments yesterday on Tuesday, October 6th. Now listen to this, folks. This gives you a clue that all is not what it appears to be. And this was a really very important sign. Top military leaders are self-quarantining after positive coronavirus tests at the Pentagon. Senior Pentagon leadership in quarantine after exposure to coronavirus by Coast Guard commander. This is the Coast Guard commander Admiral Charles tested positive Monday after experiencing symptoms of COVID-19 over the weekend. Pentagon's Joint Chiefs of Staff in quarantine after Coast Guard officer tests positive. And this includes Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley. Now this tells me that something is up. This is a military operation taking place. Meanwhile, Joe Biden comes out and says he and Trump shouldn't have a debate if the president still has COVID-19. Joe Biden, of course, is probably looking for any excuse possible not to have to experience debating Donald Trump. Now, meanwhile, the media, of course, was saying the most horrible, nasty, rude, disgraceful, disrespectful things about the president. Gateway Pundit wrote, are the media comments comparing President Trump to Mussolini in North Korea after leaving the hospital part of the deep state's color revolution strategy? The color revolution, of course, is what the Clintons and the George Soros are behind. Now, there are other huge things that are going on while all of this drama about the president, his health, his medical condition. And again, there's much more to this story than what you're being told. And we decoded a lot of this for you on Sunday, including the clock, which told us at 10:02, the Disney clock that Q posted on the 16th of September, and about all of the links to timestamps linked to other Q messages, and all of the subtle messages about Hillary Clinton, together, to get her, the word together, all in caps, the president put out the same night he tweeted about his coronavirus condition. However, in his test results, there was another massive story ongoing while all of this is going on. And it started to come to light on Monday, October the 5th. So let's go back to Monday again. And there was a big development. Huge. Chief of Staff Mark Meadows announces President Trump has requested declassification of critical Spygate documents, including the Danchenko interviews. Now, this is President Trump, part of what Q has been calling us declass. And what does declass do? Declass brings down the house. Declass means declassification of very important documents. President Trump says he has declassified documents related to Russia and the Hillary Clinton email probes. And on Tuesday, October 2nd, the Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe, declassifies documents revealing John Brennan, former CIA director, briefed President Obama on Hillary Clinton's plan to stir up a scandal between Trump and Russia. So what has been revealed now, folks, is that Hillary Clinton, as she was feeling the walls closing in about her emails, they cooked up a scandal implicating Russia collusion by the Donald Trump campaign. So this all emanated with Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign in 2016. Now, Fox News headline yesterday, the gloves come off. Trump authorizes declassification of Russia collusion, Hillary Clinton email probe documents. Now, Q started posting furiously yesterday. Let's go to Q drop 4807. And here we have a link to Senator Ron Johnson's Twitter. Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin. And he writes on Twitter, just look at the difference in material my committee received from the U.S. government SA, I believe that stands for Special Agency, versus the FBI. Does this make any sense? So let's play this short clip of Senator Ron Johnson speaking to Maria Bartiromo on Fox News. Now, he's going to hold up a couple of documents. One document is from the FBI, and it's totally blacked out and redacted. The other comes from this U.S. GSA department, and its only thing is redacted is the phone number of the person who wrote the document. Take a listen to this audio clip from Senator Ron Johnson.
So let me disagree a little bit with Chairman Graham, where he said he's very pleased with the production out of the FBI. I am not. Let me just give you one example. Here's a document we got from the General Services Administration. You can see that it's an email, and everything's presented except for the very bottom. They redacted the mobile phone number of the person writing the email. Here's the exact same email we got from the FBI. You see something different here? Everything is redacted. And that, we're supposed to get thousands of pages from our, I can finally subpoena the FBI. They are on their second extension. Everything is due by, I think, the 30th of September, and that's the kind of information we get. It's non-information. We have to fight over redacting the same documents that we get from other agencies. So I am not happy at all with the document production we've gotten out of Director Wray and the FBI. Not even close.
You know what? I'm really glad you put up those documents, because this is something that I have heard from day one for 3+ years. When Ratcliffe was in Congress, Nunes in Congress, yourself in the Senate, you've been demanding documents to ensure that you understood what took place, and they will not get you the documents. They sit on documents and make it incredibly hard for you to prove the point that you know is true, and that is that it was a sham investigation into President Trump, and there's a ton of wrongdoing here. Do you think you're going to get the documents? I mean, is this Christopher Wray? Why is Christopher Wray still in charge of the FBI when he is overseeing these agents sitting on things?
His job should be to restore the credibility and integrity of the FBI, and the only way you do that is through exposure. But the other point I have to make, Maria, when we finally do get these classified sections redacted or unredacted when they become declassified, you look at what information you have, and you have to ask yourself the question, what national security interest was at stake here? Why was this ever redacted? The answer is almost always because it embarrassed the agency or it embarrassed a powerful person. That is not the reason to classify information. It's certainly not the reason to keep the truth from the American public. And that's all I've been trying to do, is I've been trying to reveal the truth. Another important point to make. You know, yes. I've been accused of peddling Russian disinformation. There is no Russian disinformation in our 87-page report. The press report on it. And I'm calling on the press. You were duped. You were leaked false information. You should not protect those sources that leaked you false information. It should be your journalistic duty to basically tell the American people who provided you false information that resulted in this 2 or 3 year national nightmare because of the false narratives that you carried the Democrats' water on.
Do your job, media.
Okay, so there we have Senator Ron Johnson speaking to Maria Bartiromo. Now, I have to laugh when they both said, do your job, journalists. They are doing their job. They're not journalists. They're propaganda ministers. They're propaganda specialists. They're not journalists. They don't do investigative journalism. They do what the deep state tells them to do. And this is what people need to understand. The media is not our friend. The media lies to us 24 hours a day. They have nothing but propaganda to dispense to us. Now, so that was Senator Ron Johnson. And then we're reading from a Q message. Now, here's what Q added. Again, I'm on 4807 from October 6th. Q says this: time for a change with a question mark. And then in quotations, it says, let's see what happens, Q. Now that quotation, of course, is what President Trump says all the time. Let's see what happens. So is Q implying, is it time for a change at the FBI? Let's go to Q drop 4809 and a link to Fox News. DNI declassifies Brennan note, CIA memo on Hillary Clinton's stirring up a scandal between Trump and Russia. Now remember, if you're wondering why Hillary Clinton would have done all of this or how she could have done all this, the Clintons basically took control of the U.S. government through the deep state. And it was a foregone conclusion that Hillary was just going to win. No doubt about it. That's why Hillary was so lazy during the campaign, didn't do much campaigning, and why the New York Times said she had a 98% chance to win, because the entire U.S. government had been hijacked by the Clintons. And folks, that is not an exaggeration. That is on behalf of the deep state. So this Fox News article Q responds to, again, with the quotation, let's see what happens. Q. Let's go to Q update number, drop number 4810. A link to Just the News. This is John Solomon reporting. Declassified memo, CIA feared Clinton was stirring up a false Russia collusion narrative. Indeed she was. And Q adds this. Let's see what happens. Q. Let's go to Q drop number 4815. And then it's a screenshot of President Trump. And he's retweeting journalist Paul Sperry here. Paul Sperry wrote, on October 5th, when all the documents, now listen to this, folks, this is bombshell, when all the documents are finally declassified and all the redactions removed from reports, the nation will see that the FBI and the CIA not only knew the Russia collusion allegations against President Trump were a political dirty trick, but they were in on the trick. And President Trump retweeted, and said, I have fully authorized the total declassification of any and all documents pertaining to the single greatest political crime in American history, the Russia hoax. Likewise, the Hillary Clinton email scandal. No redactions. And then Q adds these two words, all in capital letters, Red October. Okay, do you see how everything is coming together? Q. Okay, so that's the simple response to this, Red October, all in capital letters. Q drop 4816. Think drop today regarding Senator Johnson, regarding redactions, the GSA. That's the GSA is the again. It sounds like he said the government service agency versus the FBI, and then Q adds in quotations, let's see what happens. Think president today, no redactions. Do you see what happened? Q. So folks, this is a huge, massive development. They're uncovering the coup right before your very eyes. And we're just at the start of this. Let's go to Q drop 4817. January 15, 2020, Q writes, 1. USA-China Phase 1 deal executed. China, bad day. 2. Impeachment articles released by Pelosi. Walked, delivered to Senate. Attack versus POTUS, coordinated plan for a specific day. 3. First C-19 case lands at Seattle-Tacoma Airport. Attack versus POTUS. Mathematical probability same day. Natural versus controlled. Who benefits the most? Evil surrounds us. Q. So again, Q is referring to the day that they put the impeachment papers into the U.S. Senate was to cover up the coronavirus coming into America in Seattle, Washington, with the, I'm sure the complicity and the of Governor Jay Inslee, and then the whole scam began off and running here in Seattle, Washington. Disgraceful. Let's go to Wednesday, October 7th. That's today. President Trump beats Chinese coronavirus, shows no signs of disease on Tuesday afternoon. White House physician Donald Trump has COVID-19 antibodies. Isn't that interesting? In case you missed it, President Trump went on an epic tweet storm last night. Crooked Obama, Pelosi, deep state prime targets. Now let's go through a few of these Twitter posts that President Trump put out last night. And he's retweeted Brent Shearer here. When ABC News trotted out Trump haters as undecided, the network told us it was unaware. And NBC News doesn't have that excuse. The undecided voters it used had literally announced their support for Biden on the network, especially no response to our inquiry. So, in other words, President Trump went to a town hall and they set him up with all anti-Trump questionnaires and pro-Biden. And President Trump retweets this and he says, I just hope that the voter understands that they are all fake news, trying hard to push a man that should never be president of our country, and that's Joe Biden. Listen to this. This was also put out last night. Wow. Now do something about this. Now this is a retweet from Girlbot, the highest ranking member of the FBI, NSA, and CIA, were not only spying on Trump, they were trying to subvert his election with the fake intelligence and a fake investigation. So, President Trump retweeted that and said, wow, now do something about this. This is all in capital letters. The biggest of all political scandals in history. Biden, Obama, crooked Hillary led this treasonous plot. Biden shouldn't be allowed to run. Got caught. That's quite a statement from the president there. Then, 6:09 p.m., President Trump put this out. New FDA rules make it more difficult for them to speed up vaccines for approval before Election Day. Just another political hit job. Here's President Trump going after the FDA. Then he retweets Greg Jarrett. Here, bombshell. Clinton allegedly approved Russiagate. Falsehood as a distraction from email scandal. And President Trump retweeted that article out by Greg Jarrett. And then he said, all Russia hoax scandal information was declassified by me long ago. Unfortunately for our country, people have acted very slowly, especially since it is perhaps the biggest political crime in the history of our country. And then he writes, act in 3 exclamation points. Next tweet by the president about Chris Wallace. Chris Wallace was a total joke. Protected Joe all night. He's no Mike. This is a retweet of Paul Sperry that he responds to. If the next debate moderators didn't insist Biden flesh out proposed policies in detail, finally providing voter specifics regarding his plan for Medicare option for all and his $4 trillion in tax hikes and his plan to phase out fossil fuels, then you'll know the fix is in. So, also regarding this retweet of Greg Jarrett, President Trump wrote, a disgraceful con artist charges anyone. President put out at 6:29 p.m. And Greg Jarrett tweets, stunning revelations expose FBI's probe as dirtiest political trick in U.S. history. President Trump wrote, so I had to constantly fight off all of this scum, achieve more than any other president first term, and then they talk chaos. They created crimes against me in this administration. Again, President Trump is educating people here. And then finally this one. This is from Paul Sperry, first of all, which President Trump retweeted. Developing threats from the FBI and CIA of, quote, gray mail, unquote, or the threat of revealing state secrets if cases go to trial, has also been hamstringing the Durham investigation, sources say. And then President Trump retweeted that and said, can't believe these con men are not yet being prosecuted. Pathetic. Now, this is all President Trump setting up what is about to happen. Now, in other related developments today, as you know, Michael Flynn is going through a trial, and the judge in it is very corrupt and will not dismiss charges. Well, just today, Michael Flynn's attorney, Sidney Powell, seeks to disqualify corrupt Judge Sullivan and handwritten notes, breaking news, handwritten notes by the OGC attorney, released from day after General Flynn ambush interview. The Department of Justice admits it altered the notes. So here we go. So all of this evidence now, folks, is coming out. Now, why do they want to keep Michael Flynn trial going? Because Michael Flynn is going to talk at the end of this, and he's going to reveal some really damaging things against the deep state. As Q said, Michael Flynn knows where the bodies are buried. Now, If that's not enough, there was another huge development today regarding Joe Biden. Breaking news. Joe Biden, now listen to this, folks, sit back, is the subject of a federal criminal investigation into his role in Spygate and activities in the Ukraine. Wow. This just came out today. Joe Biden is now the subject of an active federal criminal investigation in his role in the CL probe directed at Trump's campaign, the Clinton probe. Recall, Joe Biden was in a January 5th, 2017 secret Oval Office meeting in 2017 discussing General Flynn's phone calls with Russian Ambassador Kislyak. With Obama, Sally Yates, James Comey, Susan Rice, and John Brennan. 7 days later, he sought to unmask Flynn. Then Vice President Joe Biden sought to unmask General Flynn on January 12th, 2017. The same day, Ignatius, the journalist, published his Washington Post article about Flynn's communications with Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak. The criminal investigation into Joe Biden includes his activities in the Ukraine. Now, this comes from the reporting again of Paul Sperry. Now, Joe Biden is the subject of an active federal criminal investigation into his role in the counterintelligence investigation directed at the Trump campaign during the 2016 election, including former vice president's activities in Ukraine. Ukrainian witnesses are cooperating. That's from Paul Sperry. And he added, now listen to this, House investigators have now joined the Senate in requesting the FBI open a criminal investigation into possible foreign influence peddling and embezzlement involving Joe Biden and his younger brother and son based on suspicious financial activities flagged by U.S. Treasury. Now, folks, in other words, the Democratic candidate running for president is now under intense investigation, and the Senate and the House are demanding more. Wow. Amazing. Now, just today, here's some further developments regarding the president. President Trump calls COVID-19 diagnosis. Now listen to this. Quote, a blessing from God, unquote, in a new video message. Now President Trump put out this tweet today at 2:49 p.m. It's entitled A Message from the President. So let me play this. This is a little bit longer than the last one. This is President Trump speaking just today from the White House. And he's put out this new message. This is called A Message from the President.
Hi, perhaps you recognize me. It's your favorite president. And I'm standing in front of the Oval Office at the White House, which is always an exciting place to be. I got back a day ago from Walter Reed Medical Center. I spent 4 days there and didn't have to. I could have stayed at the White House, but the doctor said, because you're president, let's do it. I said, fine. You tell me what to do, and I'm going to listen. These are great professionals. They've done a fantastic job. And by the way, not only at Walter Reed, all over the country, we have the greatest doctors in the world. We have the greatest nurses, the greatest first responders, law enforcement, by the way, incredible. Firefighters, everybody. They're just great. We have great people. This is a great country. But I spent 4 days there, and I went in, I wasn't feeling so hot. And within a very short period of time, they gave me Regeneron. It's called Regeneron. And other things too, but I think this was the key. But they gave me Regeneron, and it was like unbelievable. I felt good immediately. I felt as good 3 days ago as I do now. So I just want to say we have Regeneron. We have a very similar drug from Eli Lilly, and they're coming out, and we're trying to get them on an emergency basis. We've authorized it. I've authorized it. And if you're in the hospital and you're feeling really bad, I think we're going to work it so that you get them, and you're going to get them free. And especially if you're a senior, we're going to get you in there quick. We have hundreds of thousands of doses that are just about ready. I have emergency use authorization all set, and we got to get it signed now, and you're going to get better. You're going to get better really fast. This is things that nobody even thought of a few months ago. The job that the scientists, the labs, everybody have done is incredible. Then in addition to that, you have various other drugs that help a lot, but these, I view these, I know they call them therapeutic, but to me it wasn't therapeutic, it just made me better, okay? I call that a cure. So I want to get these things done. So we have to get them done, we have to get them approved, and I want to get them to the hospitals where people are feeling badly. It's much more important to me than the vaccine. But on the vaccines, we have many companies that are in final stages for the vaccines, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, Pfizer, all great companies, but many of them. And we're going to have a great vaccine very, very shortly. I think we should have it before the election, but frankly, the politics gets involved, and that's okay. They want to play their games. It's going to be right after the election. But we did it, nobody else. Nobody else would have been able to do it. The FDA has acted as quickly as they've ever acted in history. There's never been a time, and no president's ever pushed them like I pushed them either, to be honest with you. But the FDA is approving in a matter of weeks. It used to take a matter of years. So we have these drugs, Eli Lilly and the others that are so good, but they are, in my opinion, remember this, they're going to say that they're therapeutic, and I guess they are therapeutic. Some people don't know how to define therapeutic. I view it different. It's a cure. For me, I walked in, I didn't feel good. A short 24 hours later, I was feeling great. I wanted to get out of the hospital. And that's what I want for everybody. I want everybody to be given the same treatment as your president, because I feel great. I feel like perfect. So I think this was a blessing from God that I caught it. This was a blessing in disguise. I caught it. I heard about this drug. I said, let me take it. It was my suggestion. I said, let me take it. And it was incredible the way it worked. Incredible. And I think if I didn't catch it, we'd be looking at that like a number of other drugs. But it really did a fantastic job. I want to get for you what I got, and I'm going to make it free. You're not going to pay for it. It wasn't your fault that this happened. It was China's fault. And China's going to pay a big price, what they've done to this country. China's going to pay a big price, what they've done to the world. This was China's fault. And just remember that. So we're going to get you the drug. It's going to be free. We're going to get it into the hospitals as soon as you can, as soon as we can. And you'll see some amazing things happen because we have, our military is doing the distribution. It's called logistics. And they deliver hundreds of thousands of troops in a matter of days. This is easy stuff for them. Our generals already, we're waiting for the emergency use authorization, and the drug companies have just made a lot of it. So hopefully this is going to be not just a therapeutic, it's going to be much more than a therapeutic. You're going to get better, you're going to get better fast, just like I did. So again, a blessing in disguise. Good luck.
Wow. Did you hear that, folks? Did you hear what he just said? There's a new treatment for coronavirus, and he's going to make it free for all Americans. This is not necessarily a vaccine. It's a treatment for the coronavirus. I mean, it's just amazing. Now, this is going to remove all fears, all of the lockdowns, the restrictions, the mask wearing, the mail-in voting scam they're trying to push. This is huge. So I want to read you this article here. President Trump, this is by Wayne Allen Root on Great Way Pundit. President Trump just became, quote, Captain America, and Democrats are losing their minds. When President Trump and First Lady Melania tested positive for COVID, Democrats were gloating and hoping for the worst. They thought a sick or dying Trump would be unable to campaign down the home stretch and hand a victory to basement Biden. What did former President Obama call this? A teachable moment. But it's not the lesson Democrats hope for. I've studied Donald Trump my entire adult life, growing up as a kid in New York, and being 15 years younger than Trump. He served as my hero, mentor, and role model since my college days at Columbia University. Trump has three traits above all others. First, he is relentless. He never gives up. He always finds a way to come out on top. My favorite saying is, never bet against Trump, NBAT. Second, he's like Houdini, a great escape artist. He is adept at turning lemons into lemonade. Just when you think he's lost, he comes roaring back to life. Third, Trump is a human tornado. He is a man of superhuman energy and willpower. He makes things happen through force of personality that seem unimaginable. Those traits are the essence of Trump. Understanding these Trump rules helps put into the context what's happened for the past 5 years since Donald Trump came down that escalator in 2015. Trump and Democrats have been playing a game of Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. Every time they are certain they have him beat, Trump dumps a load of cow manure on their heads. They walk away muttering, quote, "We had them. How did he get away again?" Unquote. So as usual, when Trump got COVID, liberals assumed the worst. They thought they had him, or they wanted him. They thought his illness or death was the October surprise that would win the election. Here are just a few responses from leading liberals. The former spokesman for Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign, Zara Rahim, tweeted out, "I hope he dies." The Washington Post tweeted out, "Imagine what it'll be like to never have to think about Trump again." The New York Times suggested Trump should quit the 2020 race and drop off the ballot. MSNBC asked Nancy Pelosi, "Has the White House contacted you about the continuity of government?" Hollywood filmmaker Michael Moore said, "My thoughts or prayers are with COVID-19. On social media, every Trump hater in the world gloated and rooted for his death. I'm sure many Democratic politicians assumed this would scare Americans and give them carte blanche to shut down the economy again. Well, Democrats and Trump haters were right. This is a stunning October surprise, except it backfired on the Democrats. President Trump is beating COVID in record time. Trump will be leaving the hospital today. Just as I predicted, as soon as I heard Trump was being rushed to the hospital, Trump has turned the tables. He's flipped the script. He's turned lemons into lemonade. He's turned a bad hand of cards into a stunning victory on the river card. Trump now looks like an invincible superhero. The comparison with Biden is crushing. While Biden hides in his basement, Trump at age 74 beat COVID in just days and never slowed down. Trump never stopped working for the American people. He just moved his Oval Office workplace to his hospital suite. He managed to update us about his condition with tweets and videos all weekend. He wasn't in pajamas, robe, or hospital gown looking like a sick man. Not Trump. He insisted on looking like $1 million, even while facing death. He is an elegant suit every single time. Trump defines presidential. He then took it a step further. Trump did what only Trump could imagine. He held a Trump rally. He held a parade to thank his fans lined up outside the hospital, waving from his limo. Only Trump. You know, the image of Trump created? Trump gets more done in one day while laid up in a hospital with COVID, facing death, than Joe Biden has done in this whole campaign. Guess who the American people want fighting for them? Democrats argued, Trump is reckless. Well, Trump flipped the script on that one too. Trump pointed out this is the job of a president. The president of the United States can't hide. He has to face risk. He can't look weak or scared. He has to set an example for the American people. And that's exactly what Donald Trump just did. This president is unstoppable. Trump showed us how a leader leads. He is a living example of America's can-do spirit. Trump just showed us the attitude we all need to beat COVID. Because of Trump's example, this economy will never close again. I told you so. Never bet against Trump. The legend of Trump just grew 10,000 times larger. Trump just became Captain America, and the Democrats are losing their minds. Now, I think that's a pretty good article. Now, this is the latest with the stimulus bill. House Democrats to remove funding for police in the latest $2.2 trillion package, but their bill will bail out poorly run Democrat states. And President Trump tweeted on that. He said this: Nancy Pelosi is asking for $2.4 trillion to bail out poorly run high crime Democrat states, money that is in no way related to COVID-19. We had a very generous offer of $1.6 trillion, and as usual, she is not negotiating in good faith. I am rejecting their request. Look to the country. I have instructed my representatives to stop negotiating until after the election, when immediately after I win, we will pass a major stimulus bill that focuses on hardworking Americans in small business. I have asked Senator Mitch McConnell not to delay, but to instead focus full-time on approving my outstanding nominee to the United States Supreme Court, Amy Coney Barrett. Our economy is doing very well. The stock market is at record levels. Jobs and unemployment also coming back in record numbers. We are leading the world in economic recovery, and the best is yet to come. That's in all caps, by the way. The best is yet to come, because he's telling us the SARA, the global reset, the restored republic, and on it goes, is coming. Now listen to this, folks. This is mind-blowing. You ready? Are you sitting down? Now remember that the Federal Reserve has been taken over. President Trump and Steve Mnuchin engineered it, that the Federal Reserve has been rolled into the U.S. Treasury. So Steve Mnuchin is now above the Federal Reserve Chairman, Jerome Powell, who in turn answers to President Trump. So essentially, President Trump is the head of the Federal Reserve. Not only the head of the Federal Reserve, but all central banks around the world that they've gotten control of. Now, remember this article that I read several weeks ago. The Fed concedes that President Trump was right all along. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell admitted last week at the virtual Jackson Hole Symposium that the Fed has undershot its 2% annual inflation target consistently for the last 7 years. The Fed is tacitly admitting that its deflationary monetary policy has restrained growth and held down wages, proving Donald Trump is right. Now listen to this. Now, you recall we've talked about this. Americans face new coronavirus challenge, a shortage of coins. And on the Federal Reserve website, why do U.S. coins seem to be in short supply? That's from the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System. Why is this, folks? What's going on? Why are we running out of coins? Well, get this. The Federal Reserve now announces it will quit printing money. In an announcement to customers who might like to get new bills to give as Christmas gifts, a California credit union explains that the Federal Reserve will not be printing new paper currency and they've already ceased making coins. Guess what? That's because we're going to have new money. The Federal Reserve money system, the bills, the coins, are all going to go away and replace with the new U.S. dollar and the new U.S. quantum financial system. How about that? That is really exciting. Okay, let's go to other news of the week. Now, it was pretty funny that on Fox News, Chris Wallace was interviewing Trump campaign staffer Steve Cortez, interrupting him, being rude as his usual self. And Steve Cortez called him out on being a voice for the opposition in the debate and in the interview. It was great to see the way this guy shut him down, speaking for the Trump campaign. Quite something. Chris Wallace got his comeuppance. Let's go to Monday, October 5th. Atlanta Federal Reserve estimates that the U.S. had its largest GDP increase in history during the third quarter of 2020, the largest gross domestic product increase in history. This from the Gateway Pundit. Are the global scientific elite trying to bury the truth about the origin of COVID-19? Of course they are. Let's go to Tuesday, October 6th. Latest information reveals China coronavirus is fizzling out. Hospitalizations and deaths provide the proof. In the state of California, crazed tyrant Governor Gavin Newsom tells family members, get this folks, to wear masks, quote, in between bites, unquote, of food when dining out. Insanity. Meanwhile, Michelle Obama defends the peaceful Black Lives Matter riots. Michelle Obama releases a video saying it's morally wrong and racist to say Black Lives Matter riots are violent. Meanwhile, Joe Biden went to Gettysburg this week. He was met by hundreds of supporters in Gettysburg. The problem for Uncle Joe is that they were all Trump supporters he met. Hundreds of them. On the highway to Gettysburg. Biden claims, quote, extremist white supremacy groups are menacing our communities as Black Lives Matter and Antifa Marxists loot businesses, burn cities to the ground. So Joe Biden is blaming it on right-wing extremist groups. With President Trump at Walter Reed, Biden tells a Florida crowd to fantasize about Donald Trump being delivered a death blow. He called it a coup de grace. Donald Trump is looking forward, he said, to the second debate with Joe Biden despite the COVID-19. That's coming up, I think, next week, folks. Meanwhile, Facebook removes Trump's post where he claims that COVID-19 is less deadly than the flu in certain populations after CNN lobbies for censorship of the president. Now, on the 6th, as we mentioned today, Sidney Powell, the attorney for Michael Flynn, had warned that a truth bomb was coming shortly in the Flynn case, and she delivered that today. Now, in St. Louis, a St. Louis grand jury has indicted the McCloskeys and added extra charge of tampering with evidence. The McCloskeys were the people who defended their home with their rifle as Black Lives Matter protesters threatened to invade their home and burn it to the ground. Unbelievable. The St. Louis district attorney is so corrupt, of course, supported by George Soros. Now, the vice presidential debate is taking place tonight. In an opinion piece The USA Today wrote this ridiculous headline. Listen to this. The vice presidential debate. Kamala Harris for the prosecution. Mike Pence on the witness stand for Donald Trump. Is just such... Let's go to other Q drops for October 6th, 2020. Q drop 4808. It's a screenshot of planes in the air from radar. And this was posted by an Anon. And the Anon says, and you see a lot of planes in the sky. And one particular plane was very interesting. It had the call letters trust, or the call sign Trust 17. And then a link to someone on Twitter says, I got a Boeing 742 call sign Trust 17. Isn't that amazing? Now, Q adds, keep charging, Midnight Riders. Night Watch. Q. Let's go to Q drop 4811. A link to NBC News. This NBC News article reads, Facebook bans QAnon across its platforms. The change is a significant escalation over its previous actions targeting QAnon and one of the broadest rules the social media giant has put in place in its history. So folks, they're getting very desperate. Q is putting out way too much truth. Q adds information warfare. Q. Now, let's go to Q drop 4812. And it's a photo of President Trump. He's surrounded by people holding guns. And the guns are labeled all the fake news media, the Boston Globe, ABC News, New York Times, MSNBC, Politico, CNBC, CNN, CBS, Washington Post, on and on. And Q adds this. He gave up everything. He knew his life and the lives of his family would forever change. He knows the consequences. A man who had everything. Why do it? Drop 4813. How close had we come to losing it? What if she got in? What if she got 3+ Supreme Court justices? What if she got 300+ judges? What if rogue elements remained, plus more added within the FBI, CIA, NSA, State Department, DNI, the White House, the IRS, Department of Homeland Security, ICE, the WHO, and the CDC? What if our military remained financially starved? What if foreign backers continued to control America's policies? What if borders remained open? What if China was given the keys? What if ... This is not about Republican versus Democrat. Q drop 4814. Why are we being censored? Why are we being attacked daily? Why are we condemned to office? 1984 thought crime. What happens when people are no longer allowed to think freely? What happens when people are no longer allowed to challenge their authority? What happens when people no longer fight back? Q. Now, let's go to the headlines from today. The NBA, which has been pushing the National Basketball Association, which has painted Black Lives Matter on their courts and pushed it in their advertising, well, guess what? The NBA announces that the Marxist Black Lives Matter messages on the court and on their jerseys will, quote, be largely left off the floor next season after the ratings collapse. Folks, people are turning away from the NBA at record numbers. Their audience has dropped like 40% over last year. It's amazing. Now, Deanna Lorraine on Twitter put out this interesting tweet. Why hasn't the homeless population been decimated by COVID, since most of them aren't or don't social distance, don't wear masks, or talk behind plexiglass, don't use hand sanitizer, and don't wash their hands all throughout the day? How come we never hear about them? Now, in the state of Washington today, it was reported Governor Inslee relaxes restrictions on restaurants, movie theaters, and youth sports. Oh, thank you, dictator. Governor Inslee allows people now to live somewhat more of a normal life. Now, in the city of Seattle, and Laura sent me this today, the city of Seattle, the government of the city of Seattle is paying Antifa militants to write F the police on a Black Lives Matter mural. How about that? Tax dollars going to pay Antifa. Meanwhile, in New Jersey, thousands of New Jersey voters received the wrong mail-in ballots. Now, this is being uncovered everywhere. Now, just today, I saw an interview with Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch, and they are suing several more states for voter fraud, dead voter rolls, and all kinds of malfeasance on the state's voter rolls. And Judicial Watch now, remember, Tom Fitton, reported last Sunday that Tom Fitton has been appointed by the president to a special commission which allows him to oversee corrupt judges. Now, this is really quite something amazing. Remember, I reported this on Sunday that, pardon me for just a moment here while I pull this up. Okay, sorry about that. Here, this article. President Trump appoints Tom Fitton to court oversight, which has the power to remove certain judges for misconduct. President Trump had appointed Larry Elder and Tom Fitton to the Trump administration positions. And that was pretty cool. That is amazing. Now, let's go back to our news headlines here for today. Okay, pardon me while I pull up today's headlines here. One other story. Now, Joy Behar was interviewed today. They were interviewing Nancy Pelosi, on that hard-hitting news program called The View. And Joy Behar said to Nancy Pelosi, quote, "I'm dreaming of the day when we all say President Nancy Pelosi." Can you imagine this? The most decrepit, corrupt Speaker of the House in the history of America, and Joy Behar is fantasizing about her becoming president. These people are lunatics. Absolute lunatics. Now, coming up, folks, later this month is a seminal day, of course, and that is October the 17th, 2020. 10/17/20. Now, guess where the president is going to be that day? Yes, he has scheduled a rally in the city of Dallas, Texas. on the 17th of October. Do you think that's a coincidence? Donald Trump coming to Dallas October 17th for a Keep America Great campaign rally, as reported by the Dallas Morning News. It's the first 2020 rally for Donald Trump in Dallas, and his campaign said he plans to highlight Texas economy. Okay? Now, let's think about Dallas, Texas for a moment. What's it famous for? Of course, it's the assassination of President John Fitzgerald Kennedy on November 2nd, 1963. Now, that is, of course, loaded with symbolism, right? I mean, Q, letter 17, and then you have President Trump appearing there on the 17th for a rally. I mean, wow. What else could be in store for that day? Well, there is a rumor, again, the combination of October 17th, the city of Dallas, are highly symbolic. There is a rumor, and we're going to treat this as strictly a rumor for now. But let me just read a little bit of this. It is rumored that JFK Jr. is scheduled to reveal himself publicly at Donald Trump's October 17 rally in Dallas, Texas, in exactly 17 days before the November 3rd election, and will be declared as Donald Trump's new running mate. Pardon me. Now, that alone, first of all, you're bringing back a guy from the dead. Now, that alone is like massive news. Second of all, you're replacing Donald Trump's running mate at this late stage of the game. This is going to be the biggest story. It's going to dominate the headlines for weeks, obviously. You can't underestimate the impact, the magnificence of a story like this. Is it going to happen? Let's just keep our fingers crossed. We've had some false alarms about JFK Jr. appearance. Eventually it'll happen, but we'll just see how it goes. Now, it is interesting developments now. We've heard that President Trump is going to be resigning from the corporation, the USA Inc., as president, and then perhaps then run as another kind of candidate for the real republic, restored republic of America. And so there's a lot of things that could happen here. We're just going to have to see how this plays out. Now, another huge development that occurred today, or this week, on this, let's see, there was also on the 6th, Tuesday, the 6th, another really huge story. Let's see here. Okay, pardon me while I cleared my throat. Okay, listen to this. Now, in Los Angeles, in Southern California, and many of you who live in this area are familiar with Los Angeles highways, there's a big highway that goes through Los Angeles, Southern California, called the 405. Well, some people decided to have some fun, and they erected a giant Trump sign in the style of the Hollywood sign, you know, the famous Hollywood sign. Instead of putting up Hollywood, they put a Trump with big, bold, capital white letters. And activists have put up a massive Hollywood-style Trump sign off the 405 freeway in Los Angeles. This sign was put up sometime overnight between Monday and Tuesday near the Getty Center.
The letters are 20 feet tall and a whopping 70 feet long. Now, what's the Getty Museum known infamously for? An underground city built underneath the Getty Museum in the Santa Monica Mountains. And it's connected to tunnels and all these homes throughout the hills there in Santa Monica Mountains. So here's someone that put up a Trump sign right in the heart of this near Los Angeles. Amazing, isn't that? Amazing. So that is pretty cool, and it's a beautiful sign. Well, the authorities took it down. Okay, now, just a few last words here. I talked about possibility of JFK Jr. returning from the dead, or seemingly the dead. I think personally it makes more sense to me that JFK Jr. would have been warned by the U.S. Navy about a bomb on his plane, and that they would have done everything they could, the Navy, to protect him because his father was a naval officer. And, excuse me, they had already assassinated his father, President JFK Sr., and his uncle, Robert F. Kennedy. So why wouldn't the Navy take precautions and protect JFK Jr. along with his good friend, Donald Trump? Now, I've been told also, folks, that a lot of people you thought were dead are going to come back to life, or going to appear to come back to life, but they actually were never dead. Now, one of the people we've talked about before, which I can confirm, who is not dead, is Princess Diana. And we will be seeing her someday. I've been told this years ago, that she was alive and being protected. Okay? So, now there are going to be some other big names coming back, which have been reported to be actually deceased. So, look for some other huge names to come to light. Now, there have been rumors that you've heard about. And there have been big celebrities that have supposedly passed on. One of the other names that to look for, and I'm just going to give you just one more, and there's going to be others, and this would be Michael Jackson, the entertainer and singer. I've been told is still alive, so we shall see. Now, I've heard these rumors for many years, and it's been confirmed to me. So we'll have to see how this goes. Now, a lot of big things are happening, folks. Donald Trump has now basically destroyed the whole coronavirus scandemic with what has happened in the last few days. And we should all be grateful for this. He's proved that it's not that big of a deal. You can overcome it. And he recovered in a matter of days, if indeed he had the coronavirus. And this has all now been completely changed the whole narrative of the deep state. It's really quite amazing. So we're very fortunate that this has occurred, and this is what's been going on. This is an operation by the military that you're seeing happening right now. Okay? So that's all the intel I have for you tonight on this Wednesday, October the 7th, 2020. So what I'm going to do is go to your questions now to wrap up our program. And again, if you're looking for the CDs of the interview with Ron the Inventor, I'm going to start sending those out, and I'm going to do them first come, first serve. If you're interested, please write to me, and I'll give you more details, include your mailing address, and I'll get those in the mail to you if you'd like to purchase those. Okay? There's 3 CDs because it's a 3-hour call, so there's a lot of material that has to fit on that set. It's a 3 CD set. Okay, so let's bring Maria Love on our program, and I'm going to go into Q&A mode here, and we'll start to answer your questions.
Q&A session has started.
Okay, so Maria, are you there?
I am now.
There you are.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and start with you first and see if you have any questions that we can answer for our listeners tonight.
Hey, Scott, it's Laura. I just have one. Can I add one thing? That Trump sign that was on 405 was on private property. And they took it down. Private property. It wasn't on.
So the authorities went onto private property to remove it.
Yes.
Only in California, right?
Right. Exactly. Okay, I'm done. That's it. I just thought I'd say that.
Thanks. Okay. Go ahead, Maria Love. What do you got for us?
Well, I just have one question so far, and this is with tonight's show. It's from Janet B., and she says, will you continue the calls on Sunday night after the election to keep us updated on the new technology and behind-the-scenes headline news?
Yes,
is this the last Wednesday call?
No. We will do as best we can to keep up, but as we have been saying and warning you, we don't know the status of the internet and what's going to continue or be interrupted by possible attacks on the internet and all so forth. So we're just going to be in the cautionary mode right now as we venture forward from now on until around the holiday season in December. Okay? But we'll do our best to keep these calls going for you guys. Okay? Do you have anything else, Maria?
Nothing's come in yet on my cell or this. But I might have some later, but I'm finished for now.
You will have some later, I'm sure of it.
I'm sure.
Okay. All right. So I appreciate folks who have stepped up and given us their testimonial on the iGuard, where we love hearing that it's doing well for you. So thank you for sharing those with us. And again, if you'd like to order the iGuard or the hologram, just send me an email and let me know, and I'll forward that on to Magic Waves. Please include your mailing address. Okay. Let's go to our queue first, and we'll take a few questions, and then I'll go to the emails that I've got. And if you want to ask a question, you can star 6 and get into our queue. Up first, 3768.
Hi, Scott. This is Lorraine from Georgia.
Yes.
Good to be back on tonight. I have 2 questions. One is on the GESARA and quantum banking you mentioned. How will we begin to know, or do you know, how we'll begin to know it has finally gone into it full force and what we can expect there?
Well, I think the definitive sign will be the new money that will be introduced. I think when the new money comes out, you'll know we're on the new system. You'll know that we're into the whole new quantum financial system. You'll know that GESARA is certainly happening. And I think that will be one of the clearest signs we'll see yet. Now, will they make an announcement, or will it just sort of happen? Probably just sort of happen. But that will be one of the major signs to look for. Okay?
Okay, that's great. And my second quick question is this. With all of the warnings that we're getting on YouTube about preparing for the dark days and problems ahead, I know we're supposed to be stocking food and those kind of things. What should we, how can we tell our families about this so we don't scare them to death? And they may not know about all these warnings. What would you suggest?
Well, first of all, I don't think it's going to be a severe, and I think your terminology is a little bit dire. I don't expect a lot of interruption. I think it's going to be probably isolated in certain areas. I would recommend you have a couple of weeks of food, but that's like normal. I would say that's kind of par for the course. Food and water, and I would suggest and just having some supplies. But I'm not expecting massive disruption of services. I think if anywhere, it would be in urban areas like big cities like New York, San Francisco, Seattle, Los Angeles, Chicago, where people might experience these disruptions. But I would not go overboard. I would not scare people. I would not be too dire in your speaking to people. I would just say it's a possibility. It might not even happen at all. We'll see. But I think there's going to be some civil unrest after the election. I think that's pretty much to be expected. And I'm afraid that's something we're going to have to endure as the liberals and the Democrats just lose their minds when President Trump is reelected in a landslide. So that's where I think most of the problems are going to occur. Okay? Elaine?
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. God bless you. Thank you. Okay, let's go to our next caller. And up next is...
Hey, Two Hotties. Doing, brother? Johnny J from Long Island. How are you today?
Hey, I can't even get your number out and you start talking. How you doing, Johnny? What do you got?
Thank you. I was just concerned about, Nancy Pelosi's got this thing about this continuity of government role that she's planning on becoming president of the United States in the event of a tie or something, or in the event of either one of them, Donald Trump gets bamboozled by whatever, powers that be, and that Biden doesn't become president for whatever reason. She's planning on occupying the White House for the next 4 years. What do you say about that?
Not going to happen, Johnny. There's zero chance of that happening. Zero. First of all, the military would never let that happen. Second of all, patriots are in control. Third of all, Nancy Pelosi is incompetent in a basically also senile, and she can't pull that off, and they're not going to achieve that. And
right.
I personally would not worry about that in the slightest, although this is not to say there's going to be a lot of chaos around the election. This is not to say they're going to try and pull something off. This is not to say that they might cause a disruption in the election. But
because I believe the fix is in for her to stay as Speaker of the House. That's my opinion.
Nancy Pelosi's days are numbered, okay?
I'd like to believe that.
I guarantee you. She's not long for this Congress.
All right, Scotty, it's always a pleasure talking to you. And I thank you for picking up my call. Have a good night.
Thank you, Johnny. God bless you. Okay, let's go to our next caller. 0614.
Yes, Scott. I'd just like to give you some information on debt forgiveness.
Okay.
My wife's brother...
What's your name?
This is Gary from New Mexico.
Okay, Gary, go ahead.
My wife's brother called through yesterday from Rhode Island, and he said that he's had 0 electric bills for the last 2 months. And today, her friend posted on Facebook. Now, she had her student loan forgiven over a month ago, but she went down to pay her electric bill and gas bill. And she was told that they were both 0 and that she had a $4,500 credit.
Wow. Gary, that's great news.
Yeah.
Now, this is in New Mexico, you said, or where? What state?
Well, Rhode Island, where her brother was, and then New Mexico is where her friend is at, yes.
That's fantastic. Now, what's interesting for me, here, my electric bill, I ran my air conditioner. It was really hot in August, September. I ran it all the time, and my electric bill was $14. And that's one of the lowest I've seen, and I don't know why it was so low, but I've noticed something odd about my electric bill, too. So, but your story is even better, Gary. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Yes, well, if you know all utility bills are paid out of Treasury, and then they double bill you. And
right. Double dip.
Yes, double dip, yes. And that's why the corporations are so wealthy, because they've been stealing from us from all these years, and I'm hoping that money is all going to be returned to us.
Well, you're right. Part of the negotiation was that we were supposed to get free electricity, and these companies violated that. And part of the negotiations as far as the debt settlement of the United States, we were supposed to get free utilities, and they reneged on all of that, of course. So you're right about that, Gary. Thanks for your input on that. We appreciate it. God bless you.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, let's go to 5809.
Yes.
We're getting
Sorry,
bad feedback. Okay. Turn off your speaker.
Yeah, Scott. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. What's your name?
My name is Helen, and I'm in the suburbs of Chicago.
Oh, God bless you, Helen. How are you?
Yeah. But I've been following this for quite a few years, and what I've heard all along was that there would not be an election this November, but that the SARA and all of that would be coming in, and then we would have a true, clean election in either, I think it was 60 or 90 days, I forget which. Do you know, have you heard that, or?
That was rumored to be. I've also heard that rumor about not having an election. So I think at this point in time, Helen, we should just say anything could happen. It's getting obviously very bizarre. It's getting very strange. It's getting very, unpredictable. So I don't know exactly how this is going to fold out, but I know the Patriots are in control, and they've got everything under control. So just trust the plan, Helen.
I do. But I think you've heard it too, right?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay. Thank you for all you do. Really appreciate your calls.
You're welcome. God bless you, and thank you for your support.
Yes.
Okay. Next. 3133.
Hello, Scott. Guess who? The mailman.
The mailman. How you doing? Yes.
Okay. I got a wild one for you. You were talking about people who died. What about the ultimate one? Think back 2,000 years ago.
You talking about Jesus?
Well, a lot of people died then, but I think that's prominent in my mind.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good one to say, well, perhaps he's not been dead after all, and perhaps we're going to see some kind of appearance, as many believe. I wouldn't be a bit surprised. Yeah. Preston, I would not be a bit surprised.
I keep seeing things on the internet about Fatima, and I don't know what that's all about, but anyway, there's something to think about, I guess. And
absolutely.
Okay. All right, we had about 6 people here tonight, so.
Okay. Well, hello to everybody at the Triad Frequency Center. God bless you all. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
Yeah, Preston, that's a good point you bring up. And wouldn't that be exciting? Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be quite a revelation for the world? So I don't see that happening immediately, but certainly something down the road. All right, let's go to my email. And let's see. This comes from Susan. Both my husband and I are retired and living on Social Security and company pension distributed through Prudential and a state pension. With GESARA entering in, will Social Security and pensions be taken from us? Thanks so much for your show. It's phenomenal and so appreciated. Susan. Susan, absolutely not. Social Security and your pension are going to remain intact, and you'll be getting also a stimulus payment or the $1,200 a month as well, is what I've been told. So you'll have plenty to live off of, much more than previously, and perhaps there might be an adjustment in Social Security. We'll see. But don't worry about losing those. Not going to happen. Okay? Let me see if I can go through my emails here. People often write to me and say, this is from Stefan, wondering if the iGuard and the hologram are compatible with each other. Is there anything I should do having both? Well, I want to be very clear. The hologram, the C hologram, and the iGuard are totally different technologies made by totally different inventors, and they are not related in any way, shape, or form. It's like saying, is my toaster and my blender compatible? Yes, they're both in the kitchen. Yes, they both help you, but they were not designed to work together or do anything because the scientists did not work together. We just happened to sell these products that are both based on this quantum or this holographic technology. So, the question is kind of moot because they were never intended to work together. Okay, and they're not going to interfere with each other. So let's put that to rest. Let's put those kind of questions to rest because there's nothing similar in terms of their application or their intended use. Two totally different types of technologies, which are based on the same kind of science, but have been engineered differently. Okay? Maria, did you have anything else come in while we're looking for questions to finish up with?
No, there's no questions.
Okay. Okay, so let's go back to our queue and finish up that one. 5806, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hi, Scott. This is Tom from Ventura,
Yes, sir.
California.
Yes, Tom.
As far as that site you gave, Conspiracy Daily Updated, that's an amazing site. And a lot of things that you are saying is on there. There is a picture of the return of John F. Kennedy Jr. in Dallas and what you were saying about being the VP. What I was wondering about that site is it must come from across the pond somewhere because they always are ahead a day. Do you know where it comes from?
No, I know nothing about the site. I know nothing about who runs it or who operates it. Sorry.
I mean, you're the one to keep that out.
No, I don't know. I honestly don't know. Trust me.
Yeah. The other thing is, do we have to worry about the 2 million Muslims that Obama sent over here?
They're not Muslims, they're jihadists. Not necessarily all Muslim.
Right.
Yes, we have to be concerned about them for sure, because they're kind of like sleeper cells. And yes, it's a big concern of the military. And we know that they've been activated, the sleeper cells from the underground. These are a lot of the Antifa clowns running around causing mayhem. Those are mind controlled from the underground bases, and that's one of the few armies that the cabal still has control of, as well as Black Lives Matter and other groups such as this, other far radical left. But these jihadists, yes, and I'm sure a lot of it has been addressed by the military, but it's important to just be aware that that is an issue and to keep that in mind. Obama definitely brought them into the country for the purpose of causing chaos.
for sure. Okay?
You know, there was a journalist that said he found out where all those hollow bullets, I think it was 1.4 billion in weapons, he said they were under the State House or the state capitol in California. And he said there's 10 floors below the state capitol, and they were handing them out to like Antifa and BLM and other groups. And he said also there was tanks there also. So he wasn't quite sure what that was about, but the weapons and bullets that's where they are hiding them. And
there's a lot of stuff that's been going on in the underground of California and connected to the Getty Museum, which branches off to Catalina Island, which goes into Hollywood. You've had an underground tunnel under the Playboy Mansion in the Hollywood Hills. You have all in the Santa Monica Mountains, all of those tunnel networks, all the way up through 29 Palms down in Southern California. Of course, we talked about the base where the earthquake emanated from in the desert of Southern California. We talked about, which was actually blown up.
China Lake.
China Lake, right? And then there's tunnels that go all the way up through California to Northern California. So California has been one of the worst states for these underground bases and tunnels in the country. Numerous locations. And according to Gene Decode, the military has gone in and cleaned out a lot of that stuff. So it's about time. Okay, Tom?
Well, thank you for your information and your show.
God bless you. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Okay, let's go to an email question here. This comes in from Jerry, and Jerry wrote in for Sunday, which I'm just now getting to here. Kent Dunn said there's going to be a depression beginning after the winter solstice and a food shortage. Is this true? I don't see that happening. I don't listen to Kent Dunn. I don't follow him, so he said some pretty outrageous things, I know, but I don't see that happening. Will there be some disruptions of services? Definitely a possibility, including food. Could happen, but I don't see that as a huge... Remember, the military has taken over the food supply chain. President Trump has ensured that happened. He also said there will be major floods resulting in submerged areas along the East Coast and other areas, and we should move at least 100 miles from the coast to an elevation of at least 600 feet above sea level. Well, I've heard this. Others have talked about this, that it is best to move inland, but I know there's going to be some plate shifting, but I think what you should do is follow your heart, follow your own guidance, and do what you can to make yourself feel safe in an area. Now, obviously, the West Coast is very strange in terms of the plate movement, particularly in Washington State and in Southern California. Those are the two vulnerable areas. And if you live in those areas, then obviously that's somewhat of a concern. But do I see massive flooding? No, I don't see that happening. But I think there could be some plate movement for sure. Well, not for sure, but possibly. Let's say possibly, okay? Let's go back to our queue and wrap it up here. 3855.
Yeah, hi Scott. It's Steve from Reno.
Hi, Steve.
Hi. As far as Kasara and what Trump has in store for us economically. What is are we gonna be able to use our credit cards as normal, or what have you heard about that?
That's a good question. I'm not sure if credit cards are going to exist as they do now. I think there's going to be some changes if they are. And certainly in terms of the interest that's collected and all kinds of advantages that go to the banks. So I have a feeling that system is going to be undergoing a massive change. Now, are we going to go to a different system? There's no doubt about it. And I think the credit debt system is going to eventually be totally replaced. But, businesses need credit to operate. Businesses need an extension of credit, home people, to afford a home and so forth. So I see some major restructuring going on with that. And, a lot of that banking that's been in place is actually unconstitutional. And so some of it is going to have to change as we go to our republic. So I don't know specifically, but I'll know more here as this rolls out that I'll be able to share with you. So let me table your question until I can gather more information on that one, okay?
Okay, sounds good. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. God bless. Okay, let me see if I missed your question tonight. Forgive me. I want to make sure that I can answer your question. Let me go back to my email. Let's see. Christina writes in, are you saying no to JFK's EP? No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that's definitely a possibility. But whether it's going to happen before or after the election remains to be seen. Stephen writes in and says, hi Scott, has there ever been two clones debating each other in the history of politics? That's a good question, Stephen. I'm not sure I can answer that one. I wouldn't be surprised. There certainly was probably, well, we know that the last one, that was not Joe Biden, the last debate for sure. And now tonight's debate features a Mike Pence look-alike double or clone. And the question is that the real Kamala Harris? So that might be a question worth finding out. Again, off the top of my head, that's the only ones I can think of. But it's likely it has occurred in the past, more than it has not, Stephen, I would say. Okay? Let's see. Okay, so again, people are writing to us and asking to send, we have documents, new documents about the iGuard, and I'm happy to share those with you. New expanded owner's manuals, which you'll probably be receiving when your shipment goes out anyways, coming up in the mail. Okay, this comes from, let's see, Lisa writes and says, Donald Trump just tweeted, if I have sent a standalone bill for stimulus checks of $1,200, they will go out to our people immediately. I am ready to sign right now. Are you listening, Nancy? Yeah. So this is what we've been saying. $1,200 is supposed to happen, and the Democrats have blocked this. Now, by the way, I forgot to mention before we go tonight that Q has posted a number of new drops tonight, which I did not see in time for tonight's show. So we'll cover those on Sunday's call. But there's been from 48.18 all the way up to 48.29 today. So those just came out this evening or late this afternoon. So they're worth covering and going over, and we'll address those on Sunday because we run out of time tonight. All right, so I'm going to take a couple more questions, and we're going to wrap it up here. 3241.
Hey, Scott, this is Larry.
Hi, Larry.
Hi. Just want to let you know that our Speaker of the Congress has contacted President Trump in regards to his tweet about stopping the stimulus package. So,
stopping the $1,200 was what you're saying?
yeah, she has contacted President Trump and now wants to talk.
Ah, okay, great. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I know.
As President
right,
Trump says,
deal.
right? Yeah.
Pardon me?
We'll see what happens, as President Trump likes to say.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. God bless. Okay. Now make sure your volume is down. Okay? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You can hear me?
Your volume is too distorted. You need to lower the volume of your mic or step back from it.
Okay, you can hear me?
It's very